My name is Maureen Milton and I was born in 1936, and I've had a very happy, and still am having a very happy life. My childhood was a very happy one because my mother and father involved us in everything, and they became involved in whatever my sister and I were doing. So that really makes, I think, for a very happy childhood. We learnt music, both of us learnt music. We played sport. We went dancing. And we're always had a happy environment to be in. Mum and Dad always encouraging, always. And when I was at school and the nuns, I wouldn't leave the piano alone, and the nuns said to Mum, "You need to have Maureen talk the piano." And she said, "We haven't got a piano." And they said, "How are we going to afford that?" And the nuns said, "Maureen can practice down in the convent on the piano." I enjoyed school. I probably enjoyed the social aspect more than the academic. I became an apprentice dressmaker and almost completed at that before, and that was travelling on the train at 7 o'clock in the morning and not home until 5. I decided I was about 17 or so that I wanted to go nursing. So I went along to St V's and was interviewed and accepted, and from there I stayed at St V's until 57. I met my husband at about the age of 15 or 16. We met because we used to play basketball at the Baronia Oval, which is not there now, and the boys played football. So of course, naturally, we met up with one another. I then decided to take another turn in a different direction, of course, and that's when I went nursing. So of course he was here, I'm in Melbourne, and I had various other friends prior to that, before going nursing, because you know, you've got a group of friends, you're going out dancing, you're meeting other people, you grew up, and particularly with basketball, you had the boys coming to watch, etc. So there were a few other people around that I went out with. And then John and I met up again. I must have been about 19, I think, because we met, and I had always said I was going to buy a VW, a Beetle. And because we did go out for some years prior, so I said that I'm going to, well, when we met up again, he said to me, "Well, I've bought my Morris 1000, have you got your Beetle?" John and I more or less progressed from there and became engaged on my 21st birthday. We didn't marry until, I think we were both 23, 24. We had our honeymoon that's another story, of course. We had borrowed Dad's car, and because it was larger, and we went to Queensland. So of course, on the way, being Lee, we're in a 10 or 12 car pile-up, one on top of the other. Fortunately, we weren't hurt. My children. I think Jacinta, she is a well-liked music tutor, very, very good mother, and she's a very good athlete. And I admire her for her stoicism with her athletics. Damien is in the building industry. As a child, he was always very good, but I do remember one funny story where Damien, they had been out for the night, he and a couple of the boys, and somewhere along the way, the ute got left in Croydon by the side of the road. I was told that it broke down. It didn't break down at all. But anyway, Damien has grown into a wonderful man and has a lovely lady friend and is going to build a new house. Josephine is number 4. She came after 3 boys. Oh dear. So of course that was wonderful because there was great excitement after having 3 boys. So Jo excelled with her ballet studio. she went to the College of the Arts and said she didn't want to do anything else but ballet. We said to her she had to do something else, but anyway, it didn't occur. She ran a professional ballet school for many years, but then decided after an altercation with a parent, she decided that was the end of that, and she changed career paths, and she's gainfully employed at the moment with Lions Bodyworks as a secretary, so she's very good, yes. And I'm very proud of her achievements as well. She's very stoic. Next is Christopher. Okay, Chris would put his hand to anything. Doesn't matter what it is, he'd put his hand to anything. He decided to leave school. He'd had enough of school, so he left school, went and walked the streets of Boronia, and a gentleman gave him a job in a lighting place up in Mountain Highway. He was there for several years and decided he wanted to go into the army. So he went to Kapooka for 3 years. They wanted him to stay on and become an officer. He said, no, not doing that. So he now is self-employed at Bass, and he's does earth moving and digs channels and fencing and you name it, Chris will do it. Dan has just turned 58, I think. 58 or 59, I get them confused. Anyway, they were all within 8 years. Dan is an engineer. He did his apprenticeship. He now works for himself, he's in partnership with somebody else, and they have enduro buses, which are, I forget what the word is, where they change the vehicle into a 4x4 vehicle, which is used at the mines in the west and also up in the ski fields because they're 4x4. He also is now into breeding horses, which is rather nice. So, and he has an enjoyable life, but works very, very hard. And Tony's was the firstborn, and of course, as they all say, firstborns are always spoilt. Tony has achieved many things in his life, and he firstly finished school and became an apprentice Australian Continental Butcher, finished his apprenticeship, then decided that he would go and work at a place called Swagman in Ferntree Gully, which was a restaurant, nightclub type stuff. So went to there, and at the same time he decided to go share farming. So share farmed, and after share farming decided no, he wanted to actually become a chef. After working the Swagman as a chef, he wanted to go and do the training. So he went to France. He was executive chef on the QE2. He's now executive chef at Sage in Eastland. So he's well and truly. And look, I have to say, with all of the children, they support me. They've always, and I suppose that comes from John and I, the way we brought them up, because we wanted them to be responsible, honest people. We wanted them to be able to care for other people, which I consider is extremely important. I admire them all for their tenacity to whatever the challenge is given them. They meet it. They complete whatever they start to do. I admire them for their sporting achievements and life in general. And they're always willing to do things for me. And I think that's wonderful to do with the family. I'd really like to acknowledge my children's partners. They're all very supportive, never beyond lending me a hand with whatever I need doing. Perhaps I'd like them to come and do the garden a little more often, but I don't think that's going to happen. But really, I really feel very fortunate and very blessed because of the partners, because they're always willing to come and help me. My achievements, I'm very proud that I was able to nurse for as long as I could, and that was only because of John being so supportive. Jacinta auditioned at school for the Australian Children's Choir, and it was really in the embryo stages then. She was accepted. So of course when she joined, well, what do? You're a parent. So I then was asked to join the board. Those 43 years, the last 43 years, been very happy times. And of course, being honoured in the Australia Day Honours in 2006 or 2005, whatever it was, I can honestly say I've been very fortunate. I really haven't had difficult times. I've always been able to find, yes, there have been times when money is short with 6 kids. John had a good job, but there was always something. And you know, I'd go off and umpire basketball because you got paid $6 or something. But you did that when you knew that you were going, even so, you mightn't have wanted to do anything, but you knew that would buy the bread or the milk. This particular day, he had Fridays off. And of course, he would mow the lawn. Silly wheel, but anyway. Still did things. You couldn't stop him. And he came this particular day, and I think I was playing the piano or doing something, and he came in and he went lay on the bed, and I said, "What's the matter with you?" And he said, "I've got some pain. Have you got any Panadol?" So I gave him something or other, and next I said, "Where's the pain?" And he said, "My chest." I said, "Get into the car." So I threw him into the car, took him to Knox Private, where he already had a coronary there by that stage, and he was still with me, of course, all was fine. I raced him into Knox, and they put him onto the table, and he arrested again. And they put the paddles, etc. on him, and I just said to them, "I'm going out." So I went out, but he didn't respond at all. He'd had a massive infarction. Yeah, with the 6 children, it was a big adjustment for them and for me, because Dad had always been around. They'd been used to John and I going away camping, or overseas, or whatever. But I suppose, they understood the magnitude of what had to happen with my life then. It was either sit down and be sad and do nothing. You don't miss them any less. And I won't say any more because you've got to pick up the pieces and get on with it. You know, it's 25 years, but it's like as if it was yesterday. So, life goes on. You can't do anything about it. And I still go to the cemetery every fortnight because he loved flowers. And of course it's really quite odd, quite funny, because his brother and sister-in-law are about 6 graves up from him. So they get some flowers as well. And then I've got a niece, and she's further up. But, you know, you just have to look at the other side and say, rightio, I'm still here, I've got to make the best of my life. If I'm sad, everybody else is sad. That's no good. You know, enjoy life. No, I don't think I've got any regrets. No, because I think I was really fortunate in that, you know, John and I travelled. And I think we're really fortunate that we did that. I mean, he was only 59 when he passed away. And I mean, and as with the kids growing up, you know, we'd pile everything into the car and put the boat on the back, and off we'd go and camp up at Murchison or Deniliquin, and they'd water ski and do all the things, you know. So I wouldn't say I've got regrets.
What has life taught you?
To care for other people. Really. Be kind, be responsible. Be a good listener. Many people don't listen. They're too busy thinking of what they're going to say next. Listen to what people have got to say. And perhaps you might learn something. I'd like to be remembered as somebody who was thoughtful, caring, and not afraid to take on board a challenge. Because there are many challenges in life, and I just think that usually the challenge presents the opportunity to help other people. And I think if you can help people throughout life, everybody is not as fortunate as you, so if you can help them, do so.